My father called my promotion pathetic in front of my whole family. 18 years in uniform, 2 deployments, a Pentagon security clearance that had taken half my adult life to earn. And to him, becoming a major was still just some little ceremony he could skip for a church barbecue. But 3 weeks later, when my photo appeared in the Washington Post beside a defense intelligence briefing, suddenly my family remembered my name. Suddenly, my mother cried on the phone and said she had always been proud. Suddenly, my brother Ryan told everyone his sister had friends inside the Pentagon. And suddenly, federal agents were asking why my signature was on letters I had never written. That was when I learned the most dangerous people are not always the ones who hate you. Sometimes they are the ones who smile the moment they discover you are useful. My name is Major Natalie Mercer. I was born in Akron, Ohio, in a family that treated loyalty like a leash. My father, Edward Mercer, was a retired insurance salesman who believed respect belonged to the loudest man in the room. My mother, Helen, was softer in public and sharper in private. She knew exactly when to cry, when to sigh, and when to say, "After everything this family has done for you," even when the family had done nothing at all. And then there was my older brother, Ryan, golden boy, local businessman, father of 3, the son my parents never stopped introducing first. Ryan owned a small defense supply company called Mercer Tactical Systems. At family dinners, he described it like a patriotic empire. In reality, it was a struggling vendor that sold protective cases, communications mounts, and overpriced field accessories to anyone who would answer his emails. He had charm, he had a good handshake, he had my father's full faith. What he did not have was federal credibility. That was where I came in. At least, that was what he decided. For years, my military career had been background noise to my family. When I graduated from officer training, my mother said she hoped I would not become too hard. When I deployed the first time, my father told me not to expect everyone to stop their lives over my choices. When I received my first commendation, Ryan joked that medals were easier when the government printed them in bulk. I laughed then. I thought that was strength. Later, I learned that laughing at disrespect only teaches people where they can keep cutting. The day I was promoted to major at Fort Meade, the room smelled like coffee, polished floors, and old flags. My uniform was pressed so sharply that the sleeves held their own shape. My hands were steady, but only because I had spent the morning telling myself it did not matter who came. Colonel Elena Ruiz stood beside me. She was my commanding officer, my mentor, and one of the few people who could look at me for 3 seconds and know exactly what I was refusing to feel. "Family here?" she asked quietly. I shook my head. "Traffic," she said. "Choice." She did not offer sympathy. That was one reason I trusted her. Instead, she adjusted the new gold oak leaf on the table and said, "Then stand tall enough for the people who should have shown up." I did. When the rank was pinned, the applause was respectful and brief. Military applause always is. It does not try to fill what is missing. Afterward, I checked my phone. No missed calls from my parents. No message from Ryan. At 3:12 p.m., my mother finally texted, "Hope it went nice. Your father had already promised to help set up at St. Agnes. Ryan said promotions happen all the time in the army anyway. We will celebrate another day." Another day. That was how my family loved me. Always in theory. Always later. I drove back to my apartment in silence. That night, I ate leftover soup in uniform because I was too tired to change. At 8:47, Ryan posted a photo online of himself at his daughter's soccer banquet. My parents stood beside him, smiling like proud witnesses to greatness. The caption read, "Family shows up for what matters." I stared at it longer than I should have. Then I turned off my phone. 3 weeks later, everything changed because of a photograph. The Washington Post published an article about emerging cyber threats and defense logistics vulnerabilities. I was not the subject of the story. I was not even named in the first paragraph. I appeared in the background of a Pentagon briefing photo, standing behind a senior analyst, holding a folder marked for internal distribution. But my name appeared in the caption. Major Natalie Mercer, Army Intelligence. That was enough. By noon, my father had shared the article 7 times. My mother sent it to the church prayer group. Ryan reposted it with the caption, "Proud of my sister doing big things for our country." Big things. Not pathetic little ceremony. Big things, now that strangers could see. My phone lit up with relatives who had ignored me for years. Aunt Linda wrote, "We always knew you would make the family proud." Cousin Mark asked if I could help his son's ROTC application. My mother called and cried. "Your father is so proud," she said. "Is he?" "Natalie, don't be bitter." That was my mother's favourite word for pain she did not want to acknowledge. Bitter. I said. He called my promotion pathetic. He was joking. He did not attend. He was busy. He attended Lily's soccer banquet. That's different. Ryan's children notice these things. I almost laughed. So did daughters. But I did not say it. Because at that point, I still believed silence was cheaper than conflict. I was wrong. Silence is only cheap at first. The interest comes later. The call came on a Thursday morning at 6:40. I was in my kitchen, pouring coffee into a travel mug, when my secure phone buzzed. The screen showed a Pentagon number. "This is Major Mercer." A woman's voice answered. "Major, this is Lydia Warren, Special Counsel for Defense Procurement Integrity. Are you alone?" My hand stopped on the mug. "Yes." "I need you to listen carefully. Are you familiar with Mercer Tactical Systems?" My stomach tightened. "My brother's company? Have you ever provided written endorsement, procurement guidance, vendor preference letters, or informal recommendation on behalf of that company?" "No." "Have you ever authorized the use of your rank, title, office, or Pentagon assignment to support their federal contracting applications?" "No." "Have you ever signed a letter stating that Mercer Tactical Systems had direct operational relevance to defense intelligence field requirements?" The room became too quiet. "No," I said. Warren paused. "Major, we have documents bearing your name and signature." I set down the coffee. "Send them through secure review." "They are already in the system. I need you at the Pentagon by 08:30. Do not contact your brother before arrival." That sentence told me everything. Do not contact your brother. Not because he was a witness. Because he was a subject. The conference room had no windows. Lydia Warren sat across from me with 2 DCIS agents and 1 civilian auditor from the Defense Contract Management Agency. On the table were 6 documents, letters, vendor preference statements, 1 compliance memo, all using my name, Major Natalie Mercer, Army Intelligence, Office of Strategic Assessment Liaison. The title was close enough to sound real and wrong enough to prove whoever wrote it had no idea how careful federal officers are with names. My signature appeared at the bottom. or something like my signature. The first letter stated that Mercer Tactical Systems had been personally reviewed by me and found to be uniquely suited for priority defense logistics support. The second claimed I had briefed Pentagon officials on the company's products. The third suggested my office would support expedited procurement consideration. I read each page without moving. Agent Paul Kessler, DCIS, watched me carefully. "Major, do you recognize these?" "I recognize the attempt." "Is the signature yours?" "No." "Could your brother have access to samples of your signature?" I thought of birthday cards, mortgage witness forms for my parents years earlier, family paperwork. Ryan once asking me to co-sign a character letter for a local veteran charity. Yes. Lydia Warren leaned forward. "Did your brother know the boundaries around your clearance and procurement involvement?" "He knew enough." "Enough to understand this could destroy you?" I looked at the letters again. The answer tasted like metal. Yes. No one in the room softened. That was the mercy of professionals. They do not make you feel better when facts are still bleeding. Agent Kessler slid another page toward me. "This is a contract bid. Mercer Tactical Systems listed you as a strategic federal liaison." I read the line twice. Then I saw the amount, $2.7 million. Not a mistake. Not family exaggeration. Federal fraud. My first instinct was not anger. It was calculation. That scared me at first, until I realized it was training. If these documents were tied to my name, my clearance was at risk. My pension, my command trust, 18 years of service, every briefing I had entered, every analyst who had trusted me, every soldier whose information I had protected, all of it could be questioned because my brother wanted a shortcut. Lydia Warren said, "Major, we need to know whether you intend to cooperate voluntarily." I looked at her. "I am reporting this as unauthorized use of my name, rank, and position. I will cooperate fully with DCIS, Procurement Council, and any federal agency assigned." Agent Kessler's pen stopped. "Do you understand that this may lead to charges against your brother?" "Yes." "Do you understand that your family may view your cooperation as adverse to him?" That was almost funny. My family had viewed my existence as adverse whenever it stopped serving them. "I understand," I said. Warren's expression changed slightly. "Respect, maybe? Or pity?" She placed a blank statement form in front of me. "Then we begin with your sworn account." I signed my real name. For the first time that day, it felt like taking something back. Colonel Ruiz was waiting outside the conference room when I emerged. She did not ask if I was okay. She knew I was not. Instead, she walked beside me down the corridor and said, "Tell me the operational damage." I gave her the summary. Forged letters. Unauthorized title. Vendor preference claims. Ryan. The contract amount. Possible DCIS escalation. Ruiz listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "The most dangerous enemy is not the one who hates you from the beginning." I looked at her. She continued, "It's the one who smiles after discovering you have value." I had no answer. We stopped near a window overlooking a courtyard. I had been inside the Pentagon long enough to know that buildings like that do not comfort you. They remind you how small one person is inside a machine. Ruiz turned to me. "You did the right thing." "It does not feel like it." "Honourable things rarely feel clean while you're doing them." That sentence followed me for months. I did not call Ryan. I called my parents. My father answered on speaker because he always answered that way when my mother was nearby and he wanted an audience. "Major celebrity," he said. "You too important to call your old man now. I need to ask you something." My mother's voice came through. "Natalie, are you eating? You sound thin." "Did Ryan ever ask either of you for documents with my signature?" Silence. Not confusion. Silence. My father said, "What kind of question is that?" "A federal one." My mother inhaled. My father snapped, "Don't use that tone." "Did he?" Another pause. Then my mother said, "He may have needed something for a business package. You know how complicated those government forms are?" My chest tightened. What did he need? "Just a reference, I think." "From me?" "From the family," my father said. "There is no such thing as a family signature on a federal procurement document." He scoffed. "Don't get dramatic. Ryan said it was harmless." "There are forged letters with my name on them." My mother said, "Forged is an ugly word. Federal agents are using it." That ended the parental performance. My father lowered his voice. "Listen to me. Your brother has a wife and children." "I know." "He is under pressure." "I know." "Then do not make this worse." I stared at the wall in my office. There it was. Not concern for what had been done to me. Concern for what truth might cost him. He used my rank. He used your name because you're family. He used my federal position to chase money. My mother's voice trembled. "Natalie, families don't destroy each other." I closed my eyes. No, they shouldn't. Then I ended the call. Sunday dinner was not an invitation. It was a summons. My mother texted that everyone would be at Ryan's house after church and that I needed to come so we could talk like civilized people. Civilized, in my family, meant nobody told the truth until dessert. Ryan lived in a brick house outside Akron with white columns, a basketball hoop in the driveway, and a flag mounted beside the garage. He had bought it 2 years earlier after telling everyone his company was finally breaking into major defense work. His wife, Melissa, opened the door. She looked nervous. That surprised me. Melissa was usually the kind of woman who treated discomfort as someone else's poor planning. She wore soft sweaters, smiled with perfect control, and defended Ryan even when he did not deserve it, because her life was built on believing he would always win. "Natalie," she said, "thank you for coming." "Where is Ryan?" "In the dining room." My parents were already seated. So were Aunt Linda, Uncle Ray, and 2 cousins who had no reason to be there except that my father wanted a jury. Ryan stood at the head of the table in a blue button-down shirt, sleeves rolled like a campaign photo. He smiled when he saw me. "Natty?" I hated that nickname. He knew that. I remained standing. "Do not call me that." The smile thinned. "Okay, Major Mercer, then." My father slammed his palm on the table. "Enough. We are here to solve a family problem." "This is not a family problem," I said. Ryan laughed once. "Come on, it's paperwork." Federal procurement fraud is not paperwork. Melissa's face went pale. My mother whispered, "Natalie." I looked at Ryan. "Did you forge my signature?" He leaned back. "I used a template." "Did you use my rank?" "I referenced your expertise." "Did you tell contractors and federal reviewers that I was personally supporting your company from inside the Department of Defense?" He looked around the table. "You know how business works. You open doors. You use relationships. You used a clearance you do not have, an office you do not understand, and a sister you never respected until my name helped you." The room went still. Ryan's eyes hardened. "There she is." "There who is?" "The soldier, the cold one, the one who thinks rules matter more than people." I felt something old inside me detach. Rules are what keep people like you from stealing from people who actually serve. My father stood. "You will not speak to your brother that way in his own house." I turned to him. He involved me in a federal crime. He made a mistake. He forged documents. He has children. So do federal prisons. My mother gasped as if I had slapped someone. Ryan's face changed. For the first time, he understood I had not come to negotiate. He said, "What did you do?" I did not answer quickly. I wanted every person at that table to feel the space before the truth landed. I contacted DCIS voluntarily. Melissa covered her mouth. My father stared at me. Aunt Linda whispered, "Oh my God." Ryan rose from his chair. "You reported me?" "No," I said. "I reported the crime. Your name was already attached to it." "You selfish—" "Careful," I said. He laughed, but there was fear under it now. "You think you're untouchable because you work in the Pentagon?" "No. I know I am accountable because I work there. You should have understood the difference." The shouting began after that. My mother cried first. She said Ryan had been struggling. She said Melissa could not raise 3 children alone. She said my nieces and nephew loved their father. She said I would ruin Christmas, birthdays, Sunday dinners, and the family name. My father paced behind his chair, calling me disloyal, arrogant, ungrateful, brainwashed by the military. Aunt Linda said prison was too harsh for family. Uncle Ray said maybe everyone could sign something saying it was a misunderstanding. Cousin Mark asked if I really had to involve the government, as if Ryan had not used the government to chase $2.7 million. I listened to all of it. Then I looked at Melissa. She had not spoken. "Did you know?" I asked. Ryan turned sharply. "Leave her out of this." Melissa's eyes filled. "Ryan said you gave permission." The room changed again. My mother stopped crying. My father stopped pacing. Melissa continued, voice shaking. "He said you were proud to help. He said you two had worked it out because you were finally in a position to do something for the family." I looked at Ryan. "Finally?" He said nothing. That word hurt more than the forged signature. Finally, as if 18 years of service had been selfish because it had not benefited him directly. I reached into my folder and placed copies of the forged letters on the table. "These are now evidence. Do not destroy anything. Do not contact any contracting officers. Do not ask me to change my statement. Do not ask me to lie." My father pointed at me. "If your brother goes to prison, that is on you." I picked up my coat. "No, if Ryan goes to prison, it will be because he committed crimes." My mother sobbed. "How can you walk away from your family?" I looked at her. "Turns out family only matters when you need something." Then I left. 2 days later, DCIS and IRS, criminal investigation, arrived at Ryan's office. By then, the warrant had expanded. The forged letters were only the beginning. Ryan had inflated veteran-owned subcontractor claims. He had routed payments through a consulting account in Melissa's maiden name. He had promised preferred access to procurement officials he had never met. He had used my Pentagon photo in investor packets. He had told potential partners that his sister was inside the wire and could guide contracts quietly. Inside the wire? That phrase made Agent Kessler look at me with something like sympathy. "Major," he said, "we do not believe you participated." "I know. But we need to document how he obtained your signature samples." I gave them everything. Old family emails. Birthday card scans my mother had sent to relatives. A veterans' charity letter Ryan had asked me to sign years earlier. The mortgage witness form from when my parents refinanced. Every small, innocent thing that had become a tool in his hands. That is one of the cruelest parts of betrayal. It rarely begins with a stranger breaking in. It begins with someone who already knows where you keep the keys. My family called constantly. I did not answer. My mother left voicemails that began with tears and ended with accusations. "Your father hasn't slept. Ryan is falling apart. The children are asking questions. Melissa says agents took computers. People at church are talking. Please, Natalie, just tell them you were confused. Just tell them you authorized some of it. Just say you forgot." That last one made me sit down. Just say you forgot. Give up your credibility. Risk your clearance. Invite charges against yourself. Let a federal investigation treat you as either incompetent or corrupt. For family, I forwarded the voicemail to Agent Kessler. Then I called Master Sergeant Hank Brewer. Hank had been my first senior enlisted mentor. He was retired now, living in Virginia with 2 rescue dogs and a workshop full of half-finished furniture. He had taught me how to read a room before entering it and how to tell the difference between fear and wisdom. He answered on the second ring. "Mercer?" "Hank?" A pause. "Who do I need to fight?" That made me laugh for the first time in days. I told him everything. When I finished, he was quiet. Then he said, "Problem with honorable actions is they usually hurt." Ruiz said something like that. Ruiz is smarter than me. I just say it uglier. I feel like I am burning down my family. "No," Hank said. "Your brother poured gasoline in the walls. You just refused to die in the fire." I pressed my fingers against my eyes. What if the kids hate me? They might for a while. Kids hear the story, adults tell them. And later? Later, facts grow teeth. I held on to that. Facts grow teeth. Ryan was arrested on a Friday morning. Not at home. Not in front of his children. At his office, after his attorney failed to arrange voluntary surrender because Ryan still believed someone would save him. The local news used the word fraud. The federal complaint used more wire fraud, false statements, aggravated identity misuse, conspiracy to defraud the United States. My name appeared only as Victim 1. Victim 1. That was the first kindness the paperwork gave me. My father called that afternoon. I answered because some part of me wanted to hear him say something human. He did not. "Are you happy now?" I looked through my apartment window at the parking lot below. "No?" "Your brother is in custody." "I know. His children saw police on the news. That is Ryan's responsibility. You always have to be right." I had to be honest. "You could have protected him." "I protected my oath." He made a sound of disgust. "An oath doesn't sit with you at Thanksgiving. Neither did you at my promotion." Silence. For once he had no immediate weapon. Then he said, quieter, "You think you're better than us?" "No, Dad. I think I finally understand how low you expected me to bend." He hung up. I stood there for a long time with the dead phone in my hand. It hurt. Of course it hurt. Choosing truth does not make you bulletproof. It only gives the wound a reason. The internal review of my conduct lasted 9 weeks. 9 weeks of interviews. 9 weeks of document checks. 9 weeks of explaining family context to people trained to detect insider threats. Every investigator was professional. That did not make it easy. They asked whether I had discussed classified work around Ryan. No. Whether he had access to my devices. No. Whether my parents had ever pressured me about contracts before. Yes, indirectly. Whether Ryan had ever asked about procurement pathways. Yes. Whether I had recognized the risk. Not soon enough. That answer cost me sleep. Colonel Ruiz attended the final review with me. Lydia Warren presented the findings. No evidence of participation by Major Natalie Mercer. No evidence of negligent disclosure of classified information. No evidence that she authorized or benefited from Mercer Tactical Systems' fraudulent representations. Voluntary reporting credited as a mitigating and protective action. Clearance retained. Command trust intact. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt empty. Afterward, Ruiz walked me to the elevator. You survived. I lost them. She looked at me. You lost the version that required you to be useful, to be loved. I pressed the elevator button. That still feels like losing. It is, she said, but not all losses are mistakes. Ryan took a plea deal 11 months later. 3 years in federal prison. Restitution. Debarment from federal contracting. Mercer Tactical Systems collapsed before sentencing. Melissa filed for divorce. My parents blamed me for all of it until the sentencing memorandum became public and the evidence was impossible to soften. Even then, they found corners. They said Ryan had been desperate. They said business pressure made good men do foolish things. They said I could have handled it privately. Privately? As if federal fraud were a family casserole someone had burned and hidden in the trash. I did not attend the sentencing. I read the transcript later. Ryan apologized to the court. He apologized to the government. He apologized to his wife. He did not apologize to me. That was fine. By then, I no longer needed an apology from someone who still believed the crime was getting caught. The first Thanksgiving after Ryan's sentencing.